Maybe the Titan blood was too dry? Is it not algae blooming season?
What can I say about this episode other than it is a really solid start to the second half of season 2. It is a great showcase of what makes the Owl House the Owl House. The fun characters, the funny jokes, the stupendous animation at points. But I think this episode's biggest achievement is that it manages to cram a lot of things in just 22 minutes in a way that doesn't feel out of place. There are multiple internal issues that each character deals with on their own. Luz is still paranoid, talking things out about her venture to the human world. She doesn't want her friends to find out that her mom wasn't really fond of her staying in a magical world. So in order to bring some hope for her, she convinces Ida with some deceiving to help Kikimora to escape from the Coven Day Parade. Honestly, I find Kikimora to be hilarious in this episode. Meanwhile, Amity is very concerned that Luz is hiding something from her, evident by Luz's phone that she has because Luz loses focus. She has a lot in mind, I get it, I do that as well. But Amity doesn't want to play Luz's vlog because, come on, it's rude to do that. I wonder if Luz has done a similar thing at some point in the show. And in the end, when Amity finds out about the truth, she is fine with Luz taking things one at a time. And this is really one of the main selling points about Lumity. Not only because of, oh, they're cute because they constantly blush. Amity really takes her time to study Spanish because of Luz. You can't ignore how these two are supporting each other with their problems. For most of the show, Luz has been helping Amity and now she returns the favor. I was afraid that they were running out of Lumity arcs to write, and I mentioned before how I didn't really want Lumity all that much again in the next few episodes. But I gotta say, this is a really compelling story, and I'm all fine with the writers going through their relationship in the future. Additionally, it is very cool to see Amity and Willow trying to work things out considering their rough past. I want to see more post-understanding Willow interactions between them in the future. And finally, Ida wants to rescue Rain from the hands of the Emperor. At first, I was so excited to see Rain and Ida finally reuniting once again. But damn, isn't this story sad as hell. Apparently, Rain has been brainwashed by this woman that I don't have time to give a crap about. And when Ida manages to capture them, they argue with each other and they fight. That was not something I expected. And man, does it hit you in the guts every time Rain is in denial, and when they drop a tear in the end, I feel like I'm about to call the ambulance. Oh, and I gotta point out Gus and Willow's reaction when Bellows does that stupid face reveal because it is total mood. This episode has a lot to unpack, and I think it excels where Knock Knock Knockin' on Hootie's door lacks. The emotion and the tone of this episode range widely, but it never feels disjointed. Everything follows a natural progression. There's a lot to enjoy in this episode, and it surely makes me excited for what's coming down the pipe. This episode is pretty solid, not gonna lie. Out of all the episodes to come out this season, Elsewhere and Elsewhen is one of the least interesting to talk about. That's not to say that it's bad or mediocre, I just said seconds ago it's quite good. It's just there's not really much to discuss or review from what meets the eye. For starters, I really like Lilith in this episode. Luz perfectly describes her as the cool aunt, and that's exactly what she acts like. I also really enjoyed their dynamic a lot here. There's also the B-plot, which is about Ida confronting her father that, she accidentally harmed because of a phase. She's still doubtful of herself, whether or not she deserves forgiveness. It's a pretty emotional moment, even after Ida learns to accept her curse even more now. Going into this, you might think that this episode would throw out so much information and exposition on her face about the origins of Philip Wittebane and the Collector, but No, this episode is pretty slow paced. You don't need to worry about being confused because this isn't the usual chaotic stuff that the show has stamped its name on so far. And the twist in the end? I can say I'm surprised that Bellows is indeed British all along, but I'm still really interested on how this reveal will play out in future episodes. Overall, this is your average, solid, thumbs up Owl House episode, and let's leave it at that. I had big expectations for this episode as this would be the next chapter in Hunter's arc in shaping up and improving his character from being someone who just does what he's told to. Two of his previous encounters with Luz and Amity are all about him perceiving and realizing each of their own perspectives. But I gotta say that his latest encounter with Willow has the biggest impact for him. While yes, Hunter has like one interesting parallel with Amity, he has plenty of them with Willow. Willow wants to prove she's not worthless by trying to keep her favorite sport alive, while Hunter tries to prove that he's worthy of the Golden Guard cape by gaining new recruits for the Emperor's Coven. Additionally, Hunter doubts that he is worthy of the cape, judging from some of his contradictory actions from what Bellows said, like acquiring a new palisman. As a result of them thinking they are a failure, both of them calling themselves half a witch. It is such a treat that they get along so well in this episode, even though that is completely dissipated by Hunter's chained loyalty towards Bellows. I truly think this is the episode where Willow shines the most as a character, and the wait for a Willow episode this season is finally over. I also think she is the coolest in this episode. I'm sorry, I can't imagine how someone can call her boring after this. Hunter is also shown to struggle to interact with some young people. Madeon no Animations made a really funny joke about how it's basically the series fans trying to socialize. Haha, I feel attacked. Hunter and Willow's dynamic in this episode is just so entertaining. Now I understand why this ship is pretty popular in the fandom now. Darius also shed some light on me, showing that Coven heads aren't that wicked after all. Willow is also extremely lucky that the Lumity B plot doesn't overshadow the entire episode for once. That's gotta be the first time in the series. And you know what? I don't mind it. If anything, Lumity has taken over a good part of the season so far, so it's fine to see them just playing a minor role, unlike another episode. So yeah, I do think this is an excellent episode. It's written incredibly well from front to back. Honestly, describing this episode in a video like this isn't enough. There are plenty more layers to peel about the themes in this episode. I wonder how Hunter will go from here as his character is becoming more and more conflicted. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man! How do they keep making episodes this good? When you look at the episode synopsis, you might assume that this is just gonna be a cute Lumity episode, but since this is the Owl House, there is most definitely something much more urgent sprinkled on it. With this episode on Follies, I see a pattern forming. The show is trying to make Amity return all the favor Luz has done to her, like snapping her out of the toxic family environment she was in and also bringing out the good side of hers. Their relationship isn't rushed. The stuff up until Hootie's door is just the first half of the story. Amity's life has turned for the better ever since she and Luz met, but in contrast, ever since Luz traveled to the human world, things have been really tough for her. In Follies, she feels stressed out having to tell Amity and her friends about what her mother said to her, while in this episode, she feels an extreme amount of insecurity. She has to miss out on her and Camilla's annual ritual on the passing of her father, which is a heavily mature topic that I didn't expect to be brought up in this episode. But Luz's emotions and just how Amity reacts to it are a true testament to the show's incredible knack for characterization. I also gotta say that I'm really in awe with Luz's character this season. I do feel for her. It's really tough when the only person on earth that she can genuinely talk to about her feelings is her mother. Yes, Luz is incredibly talented and powerful, but she's still a child that cannot control her actions sometimes. Seeing her doing things awkwardly in this episode and seeing it backfired, like accidentally bringing Alador to foil Amity's good time, is reminiscent of season 1 Luz, but there's certainly something bothering her. And this is where Amity comes into play. I do genuinely think that alongside Ida, Amity is the most caring person for Luz in the Boiling Isles. Amity has been keeping track of Luz's behavior lately, how Luz tried her best to smile all the time. This is because Luz doesn't want Amity to worry about her, but that just makes Amity more concerned. She really does care for Luz. She listens to Luz's emotional baggage all the time, and she is always determined to make her girlfriend feel better. She wants to help her pick up flowers for the ritual to fill the empty holes. Luz's reaction then shows her realizing how much Amity is worried for her. I'm really impressed because you don't see a healthy relationship like this very often in a kids cartoon. Plus, I'm really touched that this entire scene takes place underneath the Grom tree because you guys know I have fond memories of that episode and Lumity in general. Most of us expected something much more feel-good if they did return to the place where it all started, but we know this show is full of twists and turns, and I love it. What I also love is how adorable Lumity is in this episode. They're cheering for each other, leaning on each other's shoulders, admiring each other's outfits. Amity is so pretty in this episode. I just really like her new dress and hairstyle. I also like that Luz isn't the only one having problems with their dad. Elidor has been really ignorant of his daughter's new interests outside of the Emperor's Coven. He neglects his wife's abusive actions to Amity, and he is absolutely stubborn when he denies Amity's help. Even Ida is not happy with how his inventions made a big mess that endangered Luz. I'm just very happy that the show acknowledges Elidor's problematic deeds and how Amity doesn't immediately forgive him. I mean, the best response he can think of is him liking Amity's hair color, and even that still reeks of an abomination bias inside of him. He still has a long way to go to redeem himself. As significant as the main plot is, the subplot shouldn't be overlooked either. I like that the writers take the remaining time on this episode for Ida to focus on Rain's whereabouts and the rumors about the Day of Unity. I also like that we get some unexpected Edric moments where he feels useless, but working together with Ida makes him feel more handy. Reaching Out is probably a top 3 episode for me this season. I love the characters, the theme, the action, and the emotion so much. It's also safe to say that I want more Lumity in the future because this ship is a complete package. This episode is a full-on flashback, and it is all about how young Ida first met young Rain. From this and the last few episodes, I can see that the show is giving us more to chew over surrounding the relationship between the couple than I even anticipated going into Ida's Requiem. And it's a really welcome addition since it gives Ida a more emotional arc to go through. God, this show is just giving me like only 4 episodes to examine their relationship, and it's so enthralling. It's cool to see more of young Ida because she is such a quirky rebel that you'd like to hang out with. Even though sadly that wasn't the case. The only person she talked to the most often is her sister, so really she had no connections outside of that. It's emphasized that all she often did was to get in trouble, and as a result, she was forced to join some kind of witch tournament so that she wouldn't get expelled. Of course, Ida wasn't a big Coven fan, so she had a pretty hard time there. But then, she eventually met Rain, which unlike Ida, had secured multiple awards under their belt. You know, I hate to be that guy with messy hair that likes to connect the dots, but Rain and Ida in this episode remind me quite a bit of Luz and Amity in Convention. Not only because of the same exact setting that both episodes take place in, but just like Ida, Luz has that same rebellious energy inside of her, while just like Rain, Amity was a bright student that was destined to shine at that moment. The one difference is, of course, Ida and Rain immediately became friends. They worked together so well during the tournament, even going so far to have their own Grom dance. Now I know the real reason why Ida was applauding back when it happened. And yeah, even though they didn't win any ribbon, they bonded so well in this episode that Rain was willing to change schools. Also, it turns out that Rain wasn't brainwashed after all. You gotta give Rain for their dedication to reject Ida from saving them just so she won't get in trouble. That's some real love right there. So to conclude my review of this episode and the entire video, I just wanna say that this show just manages to keep putting out banger after banger this season. Even the milder episodes are still pretty good. And from these 5 episodes I just talked about, the best thing to come out of them is easily the character arcs. For me, the most important thing about your show is to make the characters compelling. You can make a series with a simple plot, but if the characters are fun to read or watch, I will still enjoy it. The characters from the Owl House have such gripping progressions and they portray it in a great way most of the time. And I'm really interested to see how they will end up in the season finale. So heck yeah, go the Owl House.